So, welcome back to Start a List with Stacy and Carol. I'm Stacy,
I'm Carol.
and we are so excited for episode 3. We finally got through the holidays and the new year, and we just want to say thank you guys so much for listening to our podcast and for all the positive feedback. If you have not, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or you can watch us on our YouTube channel.
Yes, we would ask you to please subscribe to continue our vibe.
Yes, please, because we're having so much fun.
And we hope you are enjoying this and getting a little comedic relief from the stresses of the world.
Yes, and today we're going to take a little pause from our current event because coming off the holidays, we want to talk about something a little bit different. And instead of current events, we're going to have a who knew? And
No.
who
Yeah.
knew? And this is going to be a little bit of a trip down memory lane, right? Okay. Some of you old
Mhm.
school friends that are of our age ish will probably be able to relate to this a lot. Well, not probably. You will
Yes.
be able to. Some of you younger folks may not be able to relate to this so much, but I think you'll get a kick out of it all the same. So I'm going to let
It,
Carol kind of give
and
you.
if we mention something that you're like, what is that? Good.
Tell
Get in
us,
touch
ask
with us. Let us
questions.
know. Hey,
Yes.
tell me. Yeah, tell me more about that, whatever that you mentioned. But yeah, I'm going to give you a who knew fact
Well, let's
because
tell
I
them what our
love
topic's about
start.
first so they know. We're going to tell them what our
Okay,
topic is.
today's topic is called the mall. So if you're anywhere close to our age, you have visited a mall, you went to the mall, you had many phone conversations with your friends that went kind of like this. Let's go to the mall.
Yeah.
And you would, if you were driving, you would meet there. If you weren't, your parents would drop you off there.
Back in the day when your parents
So,
would drop you off
but this,
places.
yeah, but this is my who knew for the day. I did not know this. In 1956, Dale Center in Minnesota was the first enclosed climate control mall in the United States. It said it sparked a nationwide trend to have a place where people could shop and gather and experience leisure under one roof, protected by the weather. Which I thought, okay, that was smart because I'm sure Minnesota in the winter, well, it is. It's
Freezing.
terribly cold and a lot of snow. It only took about 20 years for that idea to travel down here to the South because in the 60s and 70s is when we began to start going to the mall and experiencing literal American nostalgia.
Yep. Both of us grew up in this area. So we have two main malls
Mhm.
at the time that they're not malls anymore that we would frequent. We had Rivergate Mall, which was very close where Carol lived as a kid. And then Hickory Hollow Mall was really close to my house. And literally, as children growing up through being teenagers, the mall was the social thing. It's what you did. Your families would go to
Mhm.
the mall. You would go to the mall with your friends. You wouldn't even necessarily need a reason to go to the mall. You just went to the mall. Like, seriously.
Yeah,
The
there was
and
no purpose. You just did it.
what we were talking about
Oh,
was
cool.
yeah, you went to the mall because 'cause you're cool. Like, at Christmas, the reason why we started talking about this, they went all out decorating malls. Like, I just used to love to go to the mall, but there'd be Christmas music playing, there'd be a beautiful Christmas display, Santa Claus would be there. It's where you went to see Santa and get your picture made with him, and I just miss that. We don't have that anymore. I mean, we have some malls in
Yeah,
the area, but it's just not the same, but so today we
it's
wanna take
not.
you on a
It's
trip
not.
down memory lane or teach you a few things about how much fun the malls used to be.
Yes. And appropriately, it will be centered around the foods places that we remember because we ate it all and we do
Yes.
them vividly. I
You had
remember
to eat if you went to the mall.
I mean, yeah, because we were there for hours. And I mean, at least an hour to 2 hours because it would take 20 minutes to walk from one end of the mall to the other if you
Yeah.
were going shopping or if you were
I
just
mean, really,
want
you just went there to be seen.
Yeah, and literally, it was usually in groups of 2, 3, 4, or more. And you had to really be careful if you were in a larger group because you would be what? 4 or 5 people wide, and you would be getting almost trampled by the mall walkers.
Yep.
Stacy's gonna talk to us a little bit about the mall walkers, if those of you that don't know the term.
Well, I mean, older people of our age now, but they used to go to the mall and walk. And usually it was early in the morning. So probably by the time we got there, most of them had left. But that's where they would go walk because it was not cold, it wasn't hot, and they could just walk around the mall. It was climate controlled. So there were people that literally deemed the term mall walker. And so that's just where that came from. So
Which, by the way, Stacy dressed up as one time.
I was from the 100th day of school.
It was fabulous. She had her fanny pack on.
My
She
sweatsuit.
had her tennis shoes, her sweatsuit. It was spot on, as usual.
I miss the
But
mall.
anyway, yeah. So let's talk about some of the foods we ate because we all love, we like to talk about food and we like to eat.
Yes, the food court.
Now that was something you'd never seen in your entire life. Like you would walk up and there would be full on open front restaurants, I'm sure.
And I
Anything
guess
like that.
I don't know this for a fact. I'm just going to pretend I made this up, but that's the first I've ever heard the term food court was at the mall. Did they invent that? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know right off the top of my head the history of food courts, but I'm pretty sure it's out there somewhere.
But
Maybe
back in the day, it wasn't bougie food courts like it is now. So when Carol and I were kids, what were the standard food court places you could go? Always an Orange Julius. I don't even like those.
See, I loved it, and I don't know what it was. I think
No, either.
I think it was 2 cups of sugar to a splash of real orange juice, and the rest was water. But you had a fancy cup, and
It tasted
and you-
weird to me. It was like, I don't know. The texture was
think it had-
gross.
I think it had artificial creamer, and it was like
It might have. It was funky.
creamsicle weird.
So that was a choice. I always passed on it. What else? We had
corn dog. It was my hero. because
yeah.
I felt like I had been launched into the middle of the fair, the county fair.
Now these were not your corn dogs. These were legit hot dogs on a stick that they would take and dunk in the batter in front of you and then fry it up.
And clip it on the side of the little fryer thingy, and you could watch it, and you would just
Now, were there such a thing? Why am I remembering this? Were there cheese dogs that had
There
a
were-
hunk of cheese in it
It was cheese on a stick, and
and it was
probably-
fried?
It literally looked like a hunk of Velveeta.
Yeah, I love that. It was like a giant mozzarella stick on a stick.
But it was yellow cheese.
Yeah, it
so it
was.
was like Velveeta on a stick,
It was good.
dipped in batter,
Yeah,
and deep
fried up.
fried. And they would put it in a little, French fry boat or whatever with a piece of paper. And I'm telling you right now, it was grilled cheese wannabe because
it was
it
good.
was incredibly creamy, delicious. So, all right, there was, I think during the holidays, they would do what? Like some pop-up shop.
So yeah, pop-up shop wasn't a term back then, but at the holidays you'd get like just temporary stores or whatever. Okay. And it was
Right.
what we just talked about.
Hickory Farms.
Hickory Farms.
Hickory
So you go and
Farms
you get
was
your
one of
sets
them.
of sausages and cheese and crackers. And I always had those little strawberry candies that nobody liked. They were chewy and it looked like a strawberry on the wrapper.
But that was the beginning. This is what is important here. That was really the beginning of a charcuterie generation.
Oh, that's true. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
So
Charcuterie
that-
also wasn't a thing back in the day.
no.
No, I'm sorry. My dog is barking. Hold
Oh,
on.
I can't hear her. It's okay.
Can you hear her?
No.
This has nothing to do with food, but they also used to do a pop-up shop every Christmas where you could just go buy any kind of calendar you wanted. Hundreds of calendars, wall calendars, fridge calendars, desk calendars, pocket calendars, every theme, you could imagine. Now, why on earth we thought we needed that many calendars?
Because we all had grandparents and we would give them
Well,
calendars.
So yeah, so we all got calendars
you.
every year. It was a thing. You picked out your calendar. But place.
Yeah. And then you'd get on the phone with each other and go, "Did you see the new cat calendar for
Yeah.
1970?"
I mean, I
All
guess if
the
you want a calendar now, you just buy one on Amazon. But
well, whatever.
anyways, so
But let's see, some of the other things as far as food, I do remember there was like an El Chico restaurant, and my family would go there, that was our dinner, whatever, like a family dinner. And it was just such a good memory. It's such a good memory. Of course, it's been gone. They're all gone. And then I think I had my later, it was the first Chick-fil-A sandwich in my
oh,
entire life. I ate there.
can't remember the first time I ate Chick-fil-A. I'm unsure is that a all, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
I mean,
What
there
about
was
some of
your
the other
standard like pizza joint. Sometimes it'd be like a Chinese restaurant or something. I'm gonna have to go shut the door. The dog is
You go right ahead and
hold
I
on
will
one
just
second.
continue.
Talk
Okay.
about we're gonna mix yourself. I'll be right back.
We will. So my son claims that when we're doing our podcast, that all of this craziness that's going on around us is funny. And I said, well, we can just edit it out. And Stacy said, or my son said, no, no, that's what makes it funny. Well, if you're just reading the transcript, it's probably not very funny. But Stacy's gone probably to, I don't know what she's doing. She did mute herself, so she probably screamed at the dog. Now she's back. Okay, we're back on track.
My goodness, I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay. It was funny.
She's barking at the neighbors.
Well, but one of the things we would do socially is you go to the mall, but you would cruise. Stacy, talk about cruising the mall.
Well, this was something we did in high school. So, because we had to be able to drive, and you would literally just get in your car and with a friend or two, you'd listen to music and you would just lap them all over and over again, just to be seen. There was absolutely zero purpose to it whatsoever.
Other
Playing your
than,
music loud.
other than, I mean, and you would have to wash your car before you went cruising. Like everything had to look good. But
Okay.
the worst part, the worst part was you'd have to slow down on the speed bump,
Oh, yeah.
And so if you got stuck beside somebody like, ew, or whatever, you would just look straight ahead and not look
Yeah,
at
you
them.
didn't want to look at it.
Normally, we didn't look at them, but normally we were like, "Hi," and then 4 minutes later, "Hey," I'm saying, like, what's the
And you were
point?
trying to look as cool as possible in my car was a four-door Toyota Corolla. I mean, it wasn't anything to write home about, but it was my car and I loved it. But yeah, you were trying to look cool.
Yeah,
You had your
but you
hand
had
up
to
on the
have
steering wheel.
you had to hand crank your windows down because you needed to
I mean,
be.
you just wanted to be seen so that
Yep.
people knew you were there. There was zero purpose to it other than that, and
Yeah,
that was
but
that.
fun and funny, and I'm
And
hopefully.
probably more of the hanging out in the mall for me happened probably in like middle school, which we called it
Yeah,
junior high
yeah,
back in
and
the olden days.
we'd go sit around a fountain area in the middle of the mall so that any human that was going from one store to another would have to
See you.
pass in front of
Yeah.
us, and we wouldn't. And
I'm sure we were looking for cute boys and all the
we were
things.
looking
We
for
weren't
cute
shopping. We
boys
didn't have any money.
and making fun of people like us, going,
Yeah.
"Look at them."
Yeah.
Look at her shoes. Because I mean, I wear ridiculous shoes now because of my feet. They're jacked up from standing my whole life.
Parents would
Anyway,
drive us to the mall and sometimes they'd come in and then you'd go off with your friends. They would sometimes legit pull up and drop you off, which you
mhm,
would never do now. But
no.
it was a safe place and we go walk around and we had our favorite places to go besides the food court.
Mhm.
And
One
what's
of them was a shoe store, and you would go in, they had men's, women's, children's. But the cool thing was, if you've ever heard of this, they had this big, giant, I don't know, composite goose, and it was the red goose, and it was an ad for the red goose shoes. And if you bought a pair of red goose shoes, you got to push its tail down or something, and it was kinda like it dropped like it laid an egg. I don't know. It's a really scary thought now. But because I love all things vintage, I just so happen to have one of the golden eggs, just for an example. And it has a little red goose advertised on here. And it says half half of the fun of having feet for boys and girls. So if you bought children's shoes, you got to pick a prize, and then it doubled as a bank.
Oh, yes. It hold 2 coins. I don't remember it coming out of the goose, but I remember getting these eggs, and it was the name of the store was called Family Bootery, and they had a commercial that would come on the radio or whatever, and it would say, 2 for the price of 1 plus
One
a
plus
dollar.
a dollar, two for the
For the
price,
price of 1 plus a
one
dollar.
dollar.
And I remember they had a corner because back then, like, I always took dance. They had one little corner that had dance shoes, and you could get a little stuff. But yeah, you would get one of those little eggs, and it had junk in it, basically, but you thought it was a treasure because you
There
were
would be there'd be a rubber spider ring
a little piece
and
of paper or
maybe
something silly, just
yeah, a cartoon
Yeah.
or in a piece of bubble gum.
but you
But
thought it was
it was a
cool, and you got a little treat, and
it
all
was a
that.
big deal. It was
Yeah.
cute. The other store that I loved because, if you're a teenager, you're just wired to do things you probably shouldn't be doing.
100%.
100%. So we would go, it was called Spencer's. And if
Yeah.
you've never known or been in a Spencer's, just I'm sorry. That's all I've got to say because, you could say Spencer's, what makes you think? It makes you think of what, Stacy?
Well, we always went. I don't remember ever going to the one in Rivergate because, like I said, I spent most of my time alone at Hickory Hollow because it was closer to my house. We would go in there to look at, they had a back room that had black lights in it and had those posters that lit up and the black lights, they were velvet. We'd always walk through there like it was some kind of art exhibit and look at those. They had, I can't remember, this is disgusting and I would absolutely just die at the thought of it this day, but they had makeup on the counter and we'd get over there with the eyeliner. So wondering it'd have some sort of god awful eye disease. We were putting eyeliner on that we probably shouldn't have been doing. And then they were looking for boys. We were in the 7th grade. And then they had, it was just a goofy store. They had stuff you weren't supposed to look at, especially young people, but we thought we were being cool.
Yeah, and we would go in there and look at everything, but our main goal was to get to that no room, that no area. You know what I mean? And if you need,
Or you'd look over at it like you weren't really looking at it, but you were looking at it.
Or yeah, you would be like, you'd be like right here, and the shelf is right here, and you were looking, but you were really looking over it, and what was in there, but without being in there. So anyway, that was a lot of fun.
Yes.
And they sold lava lamps and
I mean, we could talk for hours about all the stores at the malls because we've actually had these conversations. We've laughed about like real quick because we've only got 8 minutes left on our, we're not pros, so we're on the free version of everything. But real quick, there was a store called 579 where you legit, I guess they only sold size 579, which
you had to be a twig to shop there. It was like they should have had you
name.
They should have had you go through the airport security and it would beep if you weighed too much because you weren't going to fit in anything but in that store. If you weren't tiny.
What else? What other stores did we have on our list?
Oh, let's see. The gift wrap department, like in Castronaut and
Castronaut. I love Castronaut.
You would go upstairs and there was a
dedicated area.
A literal gift wrap department, and the lady would stand at the counter and you would say, I need these gifts wrapped. And behind you on the counter were these giant bolts of every kind.
No, they had examples of the packages hanging on the wall with your paper for what bow choices. Yeah.
I mean, like they had wrapped a real box and the gold bow. So you had it was like picking out an airbrush t-shirt.
Now, mind you, you had to pay for this. This was not an included. It was extra. So if you had a gift wrapped package from the mall, it was fancy because they paid money for it.
But when you bought something at, for example, JCPenney, they would say, do you want a gift box?
Yeah.
And they put it in the gift box with the tissue paper. Then all you had to do was just go to the gift wrap department. It was glorious. I loved it,
Yeah.
But I remember I owned some yo-yo shoes. If you don't know what they are,
I didn't know what those were.
She didn't know because she's young and I'm 1,000 years old. But anyway, I had some yo-yo stack sandals. And I think we talked at one point in one of our other podcasts about rolling our ankles. Yeah, you would roll your ankle on these. They were hideous, but I had them, buddy. I had a pair of navy blue ones.
You clunked around in
So
those. You look so cute.
yeah, was so cute. I think we hit all the important parts or good memories of the mall. What we would love to hear some of your good memories from going to the mall. Or did you go to the mall, or was that like
Now,
the
wait a
most?
minute, real quick.
Yeah.
We forgot one very
Oh,
important place.
the most important.
Now,
Yes.
neither one of us ever participated in anything at this store. You could only do
We
these at the mall. It was
we
around for a
couldn't
while, so people did it.
and we couldn't afford it. It's
No, we
why
couldn't
we
afford
don't
it,
have,
but we would
we
look
don't
at it
have
every time.
these.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You'd
you could
walk
you
up
could
to this store.
you could go to the mall, walk in, and it was a place called Glamour Shots, and you could get your makeup done, and they could tease your hair from here to heaven, and you can have the most phenomenal photos made.
Like they were
They were
professional
professional.
headshots.
I never did it, but there was examples in the front window. I'm trying to hurry
Yeah.
before we run out of time. And
And they
inevitably,
like
there
it
was
was being
always
like
one lady that looked like this,
going or
with her collar popped and her jacket. So
or
we
or she was lying on this quilt or
her feather.
whatever.
So
You
that was
could
a big.
also it was a big deal. And the speaking of no-nos, you could get a private session where you
I
had a
never knew that, but I honestly never.
portrait made for your loved one, your significant
No.
other. Yeah, true. But it was, you would take your petty from the next door from Fredericks of Hollywood
Oh
and
yes,
whatever. And it was,
you young people don't know
yeah,
about that, but.
yeah. Well, look it up.
So we never did it. Even I mean, and you'd go to somebody's grandma's house and there was always a glamour shot of them in the living room. And you're like, that don't even look like the same lady because their hair is all huge and she was wearing some
but
ridiculous outfit.
and what's sad is I can remember thinking, I want to do my hair like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And do all the things
Have
anyway.
the makeup. I mean,
Well,
we grew up in the 80s, so there's a lot of makeup happening. So
yeah. Blue eyeshadow, the whole thing. Okay, well, I think we've reached our
maybe we'll upgrade.
time
You guys
to
keep subscribing.
yes, because I want my listeners to hear that it's time to dispatch the detach. Remember, don't make a fist. Start a list.
Yes, bye guys. See you next time.
Love you. Thank you. Bye.